Hi everyone, and welcome back to Stamp with Anna. Today I'm going to show you this second polished stone technique card that we made at Polished Stone class last month. This card is also being submitted for the November Blogging Friends blog hop. That's a blog hop that I belong to, and every first of the month we have a theme that we blog about. And this month's theme was Thanksgiving. So I thought I would submit this card for that. If you would like to see the entries from the other demonstrators, we are from all over the country plus Canada. If you're here on my blog, just go down the bottom and you'll see links to all of the other demonstrators. If you are here from YouTube, I would suggest that you click on the link that's in the description. It'll take you to my blog, and there at the end of the blog you will find a link to all of the blog hoppers. So this card is much like the card that we made on Monday that had the two different colors to make the background. And this one I'm doing a fall one. So what we need is a piece of soft suede. This is cut 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and that's our base. Then our matting piece is a piece of Whisper White, which is 5 1/4 by 4. And then our polished stone is going to be done on a piece of the new glossy paper that Stampin' Up! Introduced in its new catalog. And I'm just loving this glossy paper. There's so much you can do with this. And this is cut at 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. What we're using for a stamp set is the sheltering tree. We're going to use this tree here and the Thankful for You sentiment. And for ink, we're using soft suede. For ribbon, we're using some Daffodil Delight. And I have this 1/4 inch gross grain that I've had in my stash. It is retired, but that's another story. You know how I feel about that. Then I would suggest you have something to cover your workstation with, so I'm going to slip in a piece of copy paper. You will need some cotton balls and some household rubbing alcohol and your reinkers. And I used Daffodil Delight and Pumpkin Pie. So the first thing we're going to do, move this off, is we're going to bring in our glossy paper. And I apologize, I have this really bright overhead light, and I know that it makes a glare on the glossy cardstock, and I apologize for that. But anyway, the first thing we're going to do is take our rubbing alcohol and put some on the cotton ball. You don't want to saturate it, overly saturate it, but you do want it wet enough so that it's going to accept the reinker. And I'm putting in a couple drops of the Daffodil Delight. I go light to dark when I do mine. And then I'm just going to come in and pounce, moving my cotton ball so that it looks a little less uniform. And when I think I've got enough coverage, I'm going to do the same thing with the, I'm going to do a dab right there. I'm going to do the same thing with the pumpkin pie. First I'm going to put a little bit on my cotton ball. And then I'm going to put 3 dots of reinker. And the same thing, just randomly. You can go as light as you want. You can go as dark as you want. It depends. Every card is different depending on how, excuse me, how much you cover, how much surface you cover, and what your ratio is of your different colors. So I think I'm happy with this one. I'm going to get a little more orange right down there. And you can see you have these little puddles. All you need to do is take a dry cotton ball and just come in and pounce on that. It does dry almost instantly on the glossy paper, so you can just continue on to the next step after you're done. Just give it a good look over and make sure that you don't have any more puddles. And that looks fine. Now before I stamp on this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this piece off here. The reason I'm doing that is because if I leave it all intact and then stamp my tree and stamp my sentiment, I might not leave myself enough here that will allow me to do this here. It might end up being too skinny. This is the way as wide as I want it personally, so that's why I'm going to cut this. This is like 3/4, a tad bit over 3/4 of an inch. If you want a thinner strip or if you want to keep it solid, certainly up to you, but that's how I want to do mine. So I'm going to show you that way. I'm going to bring my paper trimmer in and I'm going to go right about 3/4 of an inch and just put that off to the side. Now because this is photopolymer, I'm going to come in with my pierce mat. I'm going to stamp up my tree using the soft suede, and I'm going to stamp that right up here in the top left corner, straight down. Give it a good push and straight up, and then I'm going to do the same with my sentiment. Thankful for you. There we go. Now you can already see that this one is very different than this one. I used a lot more orange on this one and filled in a lot more spaces, but I kind of like this one here because it's lighter. And what you could also do is you could emboss this in using the copper embossing powder. That'd add a really nice look to it. So the next thing I'm going to do is just attach this tree piece to my mat piece. And I have my adhesive on my desk somewhere. Oh, there it is. I'm going to bring this off to the side here and just attach it right there. Leaving about 1/4 of an inch or so. Now before I attach this one, excuse me, I'm going to make my fake bow. And to do that, I'm going to cut a piece of ribbon a little longer than the length of my cardstock and one a little shorter. I'm going to take the long piece, lay it down vertically, bring in my shorter piece horizontally so that it makes a cross. And this ribbon is great for it because it doesn't slide. I'm just going to make a knot. Now you'll see the short, although you had the long piece down first and the short piece on the top, when you make your bow, your short piece now is hidden behind this. But what we're going to do, let's just grab this. After we adjust where we want it, we're going to tighten this up a little bit. And we're going to flip it over. So now your short piece is once again on top, as it should be, because those are the pieces that are going to be trimmed. We're going to give it a good tug. And to keep this steady where I want, I'm going to just put a little glue dot right in the middle of my strips, just to make it a little easier for me to handle. And there's my glue dot, and I'm going to put this bow right, the center of my bow right there. Now I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back, and I'm going to wrap that over. I'm going to come in and just trim my tails and then attach it to my mat piece. Try to keep the same size border on this side here. Okay, and then the last thing we have to do is just attach it to our card base. And that's it. Quick and easy. And again, here are the two different versions. This one, like I said, I used a lot more orange, and so it is darker. And this one I used more yellow, so it's a little brighter. And for some reason, probably because this is so matted in the back, my tree looks a little darker as well. But there we go. That's a beautiful Thanksgiving Day card. And it's such a quick and easy technique. If you have any questions at all about this card or any of the products that I've used, contact me through my blog, www.stampwithanna.blogspot.com. Thanks so much, and I'll catch you back here on Friday.